What's up, guys? Got a question from Marley. She asked, how do I reduce inflammation and abdominal bloating, especially at night? Well, there could be many reasons for bloating, but obviously if you're having it, there's a impairment in digestion. So you want to look at, first off, keeping a journal or log or a mental file in your head about when it happens and what kind of foods are you eating when it happens. And you might be able to pinpoint certain types of foods or certain types of food combinations that don't agree with you. You may be allergic to them, or you just may have trouble digesting certain foods. And certain foods just don't agree with you. So that's a first place to start. Now in Chinese medicine, digestion is related with the spleen organ system, and the spleen does not like cold or raw foods. And that doesn't mean stop eating cold or raw foods. It means if your spleen is deficient, or you're having too much stress on the spleen system, for example, worrying too much or overthinking, it tends to tax the spleen. That's the emotion that's correlated with the spleen. And if you're having too much stress or too much mental activity, that's going to also affect your spleen, which in turn will affect your digestion. So if your spleen is strong, you can have probably some of the more difficult to digest food and you might be okay. But if you're compromised, if you're stressed, if you're eating too much heavy foods, greasy foods, things like that, these will tend to be more difficult to digest. So animal products such as meat are going to be more difficult to digest as well. And there are some people who prescribe to the idea of not mixing carbs with proteins such as meats. And if you're vegan, you don't really have to worry about that because you're not eating meat. So the most heavy stuff you're going to eat are going to be probably like avocados or something like that. Avocados, for example, I don't really digest it too much. I have to eat small amounts of it. My digestive system is pretty strong, but for some reason, I notice when I have avocados, if I have too much of it, I don't feel too good. So that's just something that I notice for myself. Other people have no problem with it. And dry foods, you want to be careful if you're eating too much dry food. Sometimes that can be difficult to digest, and sometimes it sucks the moisture out of your stomach. So you want to make sure you stay hydrated, but you don't want to have so much water that you may dilute the solids in your stomach and dilute the acids. I mean, your body can handle some liquid with the food, but the other thing is when you're eating, you want to make sure that you're in a very relaxed state. You don't want to be working. You don't want to be having too much mental thought. Again, these things will affect the spleen, which will in turn affect your digestion. And those are the general things. I mean, just notice what kind of foods you're eating, and also make sure the portions are not too big. If you're eating too much food at one time and your body, your stomach is not very strong, you might have this difficulty digesting it. And just notice what periods of time in a day or what things that are correlated with the times that you're having the bloating. And at night, you certainly don't want to eat more than a few hours before you sleep, because even if you don't get bloating, it will affect your quality of sleep because your body wants to shut down when you go to sleep. So if you're having a heavy meal before you go to sleep, that won't be conducive to helping your body relax and shut down. And so you want to make sure, preferably a light meal, several hours before you go to sleep. You don't want to have it too close to your bedtime. And same with the liquids. You don't want to have too much liquids. That might affect it also. As far as diagnosing what issues it could be, it's really hard to say without any further details. So if you want to leave some comments below as far as specifics of what you're having trouble with, maybe we can get further down to the root of the problem. All right, hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching.